Today we're going to have our candidates share some information about themselves, about why they're running for city commission. We'll kind of talk about some of the city's problems, but also what people are excited and happy to work on for the city. We should finish before noon, and to that end, Noreen, would you raise your hand? Noreen is going to be our timekeeper today to help us move along quickly. And audience, again, if you can't hear, please let us know. Candidates, do your best to speak directly in the microphone, and I apologize for last week when I forgot to remind our candidates about the microphone, and we had some accessibility issues for that, and for that part, I'm sorry. I love our city of Lawrence. We have an estimated population of 95,905 people in the city. That's over 1,000 more than from the census just a couple years ago. We are the 6th largest city in Kansas, and we need a commission to meet and make decisions on our behalf. Audience, we're going to try to hold our applause until all the candidates have gone through each question. Dustin, would you mind taking that microphone? And we won't start with you next time. We'll pick somewhere else. But our first question for everyone is, please tell us your whole name and how to say it. Tell us a little about yourself and some of the reasons why you're running to serve our city.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dustin Stumblingbear. I am a member of the Kiowa tribe of Oklahoma. I have been a long-term resident here in Lawrence for 20 years of my life. I've also lived around the country in New Mexico, Arizona, Minnesota, North Dakota, deployed to Iraq for 2 tours of duty in the United States Army National Guard. And since coming home and moving to Lawrence, I have continued in serving my community. And the many ways I've done that is joining the Community Emergency Response Team, being on a board of directors for Independence, Inc., attending multiple community meetings, being on the Government Restructure Task Force for our City Commission, and just reaching out and knocking on doors, talking to thousands of people across this city. And I'm gonna keep doing that because I love my city. This city shaped me into the man I am today, from childhood into my teenage years into adulthood. And I want other Lawrence residents to be able to thrive, enjoy success, and have joy in their lives as I am able to do because of everything I've been able to experience in this community and the organizations and people that helped build me up over the years. I know that's difficult right now, and so one of the reasons I'm running for City Commission is to address many of these issues, from affordable housing to long-term infrastructure plans, and also working with our in-house population to get them supported. I know it's a big issue right now in front of everybody. So these are some of the things that I'm focusing on among many others. As a City Commission candidate, I'm one of 5. Hopefully after next year we can make it 7. And I'm not the only one making decisions. I have to listen to my fellow commissioners and all of you in the community, not only here in attendance, but those at home right now. And the only way I can do that is constantly getting out there, having these moments, chatting with you, and I'm gonna keep doing that. And no matter what, I am not going away. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Don't act like you've never been in a church with an overzealous pastor. I want to make sure you guys are up and awake. But good morning. My name is Amber Sellers. I currently serve as one of your 5 city commissioners in a 2-year term, and it's a pleasure to be here this morning. I am a Kansas native. This is my 2nd round living in Lawrence. I told myself when I came here as a senior in high school that this would be my forever home, and I'm very fortunate to have the opportunity to make that a reality. Most of my 20 plus years of professional work has been in the state of Kansas, across the state of Kansas, aspects of Southeast, Northeast, as well as I spent some time out in Southwest Kansas. And so my background is rooted in health and public health and in health education, but I also have a background in research, regulatory research, legislative research, government affairs, and most recently getting back to my civic engagement roots in reproductive health and gender-affirming care health. And so the reason why I ran and chose to run 2 years ago, we ran on the motto of new leadership for a better Lawrence. And so Lawrence is diverse, and your leadership should be diverse, not just in ethnicity or in gender, but in thought and in opportunity. And so paying someone that has such a unique background, I wanted to bring that knowledge and understanding to our commission to focus on humans and development. Whether it's human development, infrastructure development, economic development, it all is relational. And so to have someone that has that social and human background, along with the public administrative piece and the research piece, makes me a candidate that can see the whole system and be able to attack it not only from the outside, but the inside.
Good morning, I'm Brad Finkeldye. A little bit about myself, grew up in Wichita, went to K-State, got a chemical engineering degree, and decided to come over here to law school. And I've been in Lawrence pretty much ever since. Just after graduating from law school in 1999, I joined the law firm of Stevens & Brand. So I've been a downtown business owner at 9th and Mass since that time. The law firm's about to celebrate its 100th year next year, so that's pretty exciting. I'm the managing partner of that law firm. And but as well as practicing law, over the years I got pretty involved in the community and served 18 years on the ballot board, served on the Red Cross board, spent 10 years on Family Promise, board of directors, joined quite a few city committees, spent 6 years on the Planning Commission, Special Alcohol Tax, and other committees. And you know, as I continue to work through those committees and try to make a difference, I mean, you know, it's always very clear that the city and the county are areas in which you can make a bigger difference. And so I decided to run for city commission to see if I could make a difference on some of those important issues in our community, and did that 4 years ago, and was lucky enough to get elected, and then unlucky enough to have COVID hit shortly after I was elected. So most of the things we wanted to do got sidetracked, and so I'm running again to try to finish some of that work we started, finish some of that projects we wanted to work on, including affordable housing, the new development code in particular, as well as economic development, the houselessness issue, and so forth. So looking forward to it, looking forward to the conversation this morning.
Hi, I'm Chris Flowers. I'm a delivery driver that's lived here since 1999. Let's see, I guess one of the reasons I'm running for city commission is because the current commission I don't think is doing a good job. And one of the worst things about this commission is they've gotten totally anal about free speech. Just back in May, they shut down someone in public comment because he wanted to criticize a proclamation made about the police. And they shut it down, and they claimed that, well, because it's a proclamation, you can't make public comment on it. Yet the previous month, they let a Republican make public comment during general public comment about vaccines because there was an autism awareness proclamation. So it just seems kind of BS that they're letting Republicans talk about vaccines causing autism, but when you try to criticize the police, they shut you up. So, I mean, that's kind of what's going on right now with this commission. And I'm also running there's a lot of issues I think are getting overlooked. We need to do more when it comes to the war on drugs and just ordinances that we're enforcing on people. We need less ordinances. We need less cops being involved with citizens, unless it's like positive, but I'm just fighting for change. Thank you.
My name is Joshua Olafson. I'm originally from Colorado Springs, Colorado. I've lived here, it'll be 10 years this September. So I started in live production and moved to an integration company and have worked my way up to engineer. And I fell in love with this town. So it's a great place to be. It's a great place to live. I want to serve because I want to see change. I want to see us grow. I want to see Lawrence thrive. So I'm a moderate. I believe that we all need to work together, regardless of what side you're on. We're all in this together. This isn't about one person. This is about a team of people, and a team of people trying to make Lawrence better. You are Lawrence, and that's what this is about, is serving Lawrence, seeing Lawrence grow, seeing Lawrence thrive. Housing's a big deal. It's very important to my heart because I feel like it's a linchpin that connects a lot of problems that we're seeing with schools closing, with the homeless. Again, I want to see us grow. I want to see us thrive. Excited to be here, excited to just be along all these great people, and yeah, excited to be part of the process.
My name is Mike Dever. I was born and raised in Chicago and moved to Lawrence in '81, and I attended the University of Kansas. I received degrees in environmental studies and geography with an emphasis in land use planning and analysis. I wanted to, before I move on, thank the Lawrence Art Center for hosting us today. I believe that the spirit of the Art Center is what drives the city of Lawrence. I think the kinds of people who serve us through this entity and the spirit that they showed through COVID and their ability to, I think, stand up to some of the worst conditions placed in front of them really showed me what Lawrence's spirit is all about. So thank you for hosting us today, and thanks to the Democratic Committee for having us today. So I'm married to Lee Beth Dever, and I've got 2 children, although they're not children. One's 30 and one's 28. I have a granddaughter who's about 7 months old, and I run my own business here in Lawrence. It's been located here since about 2006. Before that, it was located in Kansas City, and I do environmental consulting and land use evaluation for third parties. One of the things that I've done here in Lawrence before is serve on the commission before. I was on the city commission from 2007 until 2015. And during that time, I feel like we accomplished a lot. And before I got on the commission, I felt like we're in a similar situation as we are today, where we've got a lot of great ideas and a lot of great plans, but we need to institute them, and we need the leadership to help drive those plans forward. Communities are like one great big family, and we're going to have disagreements on how we're going to do things, but the most important thing for me as a person is I want to be the kind of leader that listens. I've shown that in the past. I've been making myself available over the last few months to talk to whoever I can to get up to speed on all the issues in Lawrence, and I'll continue to dedicate my time and energy to that, because I believe without putting the energy and time into preparation for the job, it does not show. It shows how you'll actually do the job. And so for me, I feel like I've done a good enough job in the past to be elected twice. I hope to carry that on this year. I feel like the experience I gained over 8 years through some very difficult economic times and then some flourishing ones, I kind of found the tops and the bottoms of Lawrence where we can really get together and bring our community forward. And
Thank you.
thank you.
Sorry, yeah.
Time.
All right, do I still have time?
Got 2 minutes.
Okay, my name is Justine Burton, and I'm originally from Lawrence and Eudora, so I am an original. I am also a founder and CEO of Stopgap Inc., which is a grassroots nonprofit organization that works with kids that age out of the foster care system and other at-risk youth. I'm running because I just see Lawrence needs a lot of change, and I want to be a part of that change. So hopefully I will have time to have some input in that. I look at Lawrence as a whole, not as a section. We have a lot of areas that need a lot of improvement. So I like to be able to be on board and see those changes. I have a big vision for Lawrence, and I'd like to see some things happen. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Courtney Shipley. I am concluding my 4th year here as a city commissioner. I was your mayor last year, the first Latina mayor in Lawrence, Kansas. I grew up here, as Justine did, and I wasn't born here. This town gave me something, and I owe a debt. And that's one of the reasons that I feel that it's important to serve. I became involved because of a roundabout, which some of you might appreciate how strongly Lawrence feels about roundabouts. And going to some community involvement or engagement meetings, I started to see the process, and I started going to city meetings every week just for fun. And it is soap operatic if you're watching it anyway. And that's how I became involved. And of course, you all know that once you show up, people want you to be on their board. So you end up being on several boards. I served on the Lawrence Association of Neighborhoods Board and the Lawrence Preservation Alliance Board until I was elected 4 years ago, 3.5 years ago. I think it's important, as I said, growing up here, how lovely it was to make sure that future generations have the same place to come back to. I'm sure a lot of you know what it feels like to have your kids go off and hope that they come back, but Lawrence sometimes doesn't have anything for them to come back to. We need jobs, we need housing, we need opportunities for them. Certainly post-COVID, some things have changed from years ago when we were having this conversation. People can live somewhere and work somewhere else. But we need to continue to provide those assets that people appreciate, like trails and parks, and those kinds of very important tangibles that people come here for. Cultural issues and representation in our community that people appreciate. Thank you, everybody.
So our next question is, we are going to start with the harder thing and then try to end on a higher, happier note. But our question is, what is the biggest challenge to the city of Lawrence over the next 4 years? And we'd like it if you could describe your approach to working on it. And Brad, as an incumbent, can I ask you to, is that all right?
Do you want me to start? Well, the biggest challenge, I think, is housing from all spectrums of that, from the houselessness to housing availability to workforce housing in between. It is a big issue, as everyone knows. Probably don't need to describe the issue to you, so I'll go straight to talking about some of the approaches we're taking. I think it's a multi-faceted approach. There is an easy answer. If easy answers existed, all the cities across this country facing affordable housing problems would have solved it. Cities facing houselessness would have solved it. It's not an easy problem, it's a complex problem, so it takes a complex set of solutions. I happen to chair the Development Code Rewrite Committee. I think if we're going to solve affordable housing and some of our environmental issues, we need to have more density. We need to have regulations that allow housing to be built quicker, denser, be able to have ADUs and other possibilities where we can have people age in place, be able to afford their houses and stay where they're at. It's certainly easier to keep people housed than it is to house them after they lost their housing. So I think the development code that we'll be working on in the next 2 years will be a big factor in that. Second is having more housing in general and across in growth areas. We have Plan 2040 that says where we'd like to grow, and we've now adopted or about to adopt a CIP that allows some of that growth to happen, confined to, close to the city, adjacent to our city, where we can get housing at all price points and hopefully much denser housing. With that housing affordability, that more housing options, hopefully we can solve some of those problems and keep people in their houses. But we also need permanent affordable housing. Us and the county through ARPA funds and others have about 850, we have land for 850 units to be built in the next 4 years of permanently affordable housing. We need to get that out of the ground. We need people living in them, but that is a big part of our plan. Third would be supportive housing. Boat Nash is working on some supportive housing processes. We need to work with the county on that as well. And then of course, on the houseless side, we are working with the community shelter, working on a pallet village, so we have a stepping place for folks to go, and that we can get them in a housing first manner, get them stabilized, and then get them into permanent housing, either in the affordable housing that I was talking about that's permanent, or in their own housing across the city.
Hi, I'm Chris Flowers, and I'm going to agree with Brad. I do think housing is Lawrence's biggest challenge, especially with the Panasonic plant coming. That's still unknown. We don't know how it's going to affect us, but it could affect us pretty badly. And some of the stuff we need to do when it comes to housing is we need to not be denying projects that add to like infill density. This past year, they denied a project over off Castle that would put duplexes in open space, and that would have helped people that are looking, for housing. So we need to stand up to NIMBYs and say this housing project is for the good of the community. So that's something we need to do. Also, making it cheaper to build houses, like some of the rules, like your driveway. Maybe not worry so much about someone's driveway, and if they don't build a driveway, it would bring down the cost of the property. Let's see, and then also when it comes to housing, we need to think about the unhoused, and that's an area this city needs to be doing a lot better. One of the things I wrote down is we shouldn't be forcing help on people who don't want help. If someone doesn't want to use city services, we need to find some place where they can at least camp, but it's not the city running things, it's just letting them camp. And also, what if someone gets trespassed? Then what are they supposed to do? I know some in this community just like make them all live at the pallet shelter and the shelter or the tent city, but what happens when people get trespassed from those places? They're still going to need a place to go, and camping's probably going to be their last option. And some probably just don't want to use the city. Also, I support the pallet village. I think it has a lot of potential. There are changes that just as it goes along, we're probably going to find things to tweak about it. And I'm not going to crack down on panhandling. And I think something we need to do as a city is quit being scared of the unhoused. Part of the problem isn't the unhoused, it's the people's perception of the unhoused, and that's what needs to change. Thank you.
I believe that I'm Josh Olafson. I believe that I'm going to have to agree. Housing is, I think, the key here. So in talking with people, we've talked about housing being a linchpin, and I think it connects to a lot of issues that we're having here in Lawrence, including homelessness. That's part of the problem. I feel like that we could go into another tangent with homelessness, and that is a multifaceted problem in itself. But I'd like to see Lawrence expand and grow. I'm excited about the Panasonic factory. I think that could bring in new people and new families into Lawrence. I would like us to prepare for that as best as we can. Affordable housing is important. I think all housing is important. I've been on city commission meetings where people talk about wanting to bring new business into Lawrence. I'm all for that, but if they don't have any place to live, that becomes an issue. I want to see Lawrence expand. I want to have some hard conversations about how we do that, how we get housing to people who don't have or who are less fortunate and don't have housing. But I also want to work at seeing Lawrence grow in areas maybe that it hasn't done before in the past, but we need to push forward. So everything's changing. There's always change. Change is inevitable, and I think that we have an opportunity to move forward and change for the good. If not, we're just going to become stagnant and change for the worse.
Again, I'm Mike Dever. What I want to focus on with my few minutes, I want to make sure I time myself here, is to make sure that we understand that the reason we're in a situation of housing that we've discussed, all of us have discussed at this point, is because Lawrence chose to meter out the growth and development of our community thoughtfully. At least we thought so. And so we reached a crossroads and we developed plans to annex and develop other areas of our community. And I feel like that vision needs to be firmed up and that attitude needs to be settled upon. And we need to focus on how do we manifest these plans for housing across the spectrum, and how do we change people's attitudes about housing for everyone, including the placement of low, middle, and moderate income housing in neighborhoods that may or may not have it currently. I believe we need to focus on our priorities. Lawrence has over 100 services right now that the city provides. And just like any business, they need to reevaluate the services that we provide, identify the potential for private providers who might do it better, and also to evaluate whether our budget can continue to support many of these services. And then I think also as a challenge we need to face across the community is determining what kind of community, what kind of vision we want for homelessness, not just housing, but for the people who come to us who don't have a roof over their head, who are here by circumstances or by choice, but they choose to come to Lawrence as a citizen and reside in our community. And I really believe that we need a short-term plan to put in place for trying to understand the number of people we have in our community, how to best serve them as quickly as possible, and to do so as efficiently as possible using the resources we already have in place. There are many providers already, and there's over 18 staff on SETI and other agencies that provide service to the unhoused right now. But those policies and procedures, I believe as a community, we need to get together, we need to agree upon, and then we need to act upon so that we don't get back in this position again 5 or 10 years later. And I'm going to wrap this up in saying that I believe that we made great strides in our community, and we do it in fits and spurts. And I hope that I'm a part of whatever spurt we have in developing a plan to treat the least of us and developing a plan to house those who want to come to Lawrence, whether it's because of a growing Panasonic plant or because Lawrence is a great town and people want to live here. And I want to be proud of that, and I want the community to agree that we want new people, we want new jobs, and we want new opportunities, and I want to be a part of that. Thanks.
Hello, Justine Burton again. And I look at Lawrence as a community. And most times, just from my point of view, is that North Lawrence and East Lawrence seems like nobody thinks they're there, forgets that they're there. This is all of Lawrence. And development that you do is done out west or someplace else. And I don't know what the thought process is for that, but I think it says a lot about some of the people we have in place that is running this city. For me, I see a vision as North Lawrence being a place that, it's right on I-70. My God, you should be able to have different businesses and stuff over there that would bring economic advantages to Lawrence as well. But everything is focused in one or two places in Lawrence, and I think that's unfair for everybody else, especially people who live in Lawrence, in North Lawrence and East Lawrence. We talk about the, somebody wanted to build grocery store downtown. You don't even have a grocery store over in North Lawrence. You know, so you don't really have a grocery store that would suffice or help people that lives in the near East Lawrence. I myself, last year, there was a man that was getting ready to walk across the bridge, and he had sacks of groceries from Dillon's. I drove him across to his home. That should not happen here in Lawrence. So if we're going to be doing something, we need to focus on all of Lawrence, not just one part or two sections, all of Lawrence, because there's advantage in all areas of Lawrence that people can profit from.
Just a reminder, the question was, what's the biggest challenge to Lawrence over the next 4 years, and would you please describe your approach to the work? I'm going to go to the approach to the work part, since we've all kind of talked about housing and houselessness issues a little bit. This is not a spectator sport. I'm out there looking for people who have different points of view from all corners of this community. I'll go nearly anywhere. I will drink coffee with almost everyone. I have heard all kinds of attitudes from different commissioners over the years. They get tired of hearing from everybody in the public. They just want to go out and have dinner and nobody talk to them. I don't play like that. If you see me out in public, I'm there for you to tell me that you want all about the potholes in your alleyway. That's what I'm out there for. I have people ask me, why do you talk to so-and-so? They don't even agree with you. Yeah, that's exactly why I talk to them. I want to hear what they think. I want to know what the other opinions are. And when it comes to speaking to other commissioners, I'm glad that Joshua brought that up. It is a team sport. 5 of us have to get things done together. Nobody's able to direct staff alone. That's the 5 of us together making decisions. So you need to be able to communicate really well with other commissioners in the ways that it's legal, only speaking to one on any topic. But to keep open communication, channels of communication is really important, I think. It's easy to talk about housing everyone else has, and I don't have anything particularly new or fresh to say about that. We do have a new roadmap for our houselessness issue. We just unveiled a little bit about the other day. We had public engagement on it. People from all parts of our community took part in creating that. I have every confidence that we will make it there. I don't believe in Band-Aids. We do need a long-term strategy, and that's what we're working towards. Some counterpoints I think I would offer, like I said, the 5 of us do things together. It's fine to say that growth is good, but not all growth is good, and not all growth is housing. There's also commercial and industrial that we need to focus on as well. We need to be careful about the incentives that we give out. We've been burned in this community a few times, and I hear from people frequently that they do not like incentives at all. I wouldn't say that, but I would say we need to be cautious and critical of anyone who asks us for public money to accomplish the goals that we want to accomplish together. We cannot allow the same kind of costly development patterns we've been trapped in, and I agree with Commissioner Finkeldye. That's why the development code changes are so very important, because they have caused long-term financial deficits, some of the decisions that have been made in the past, and we need to be careful not to make those mistakes again.
Biggest challenge and your approach.
I agree with what's been said about housing. It's interlinked with every other topic, to economic development, to our school district, to just peace and comfort in this community. My approach, I participated in our strategic housing plan. I forget the exact name of it, but I know it begins with a place for everybody, the community plan to address housing and homelessness. I forget the exact wording to it. I've participated in those public engagement sessions. I have encouraged other people to encourage so that this is a community plan. I'm continuing to go out and participate within the Land Development Code. There's actually public input sessions next week, and I would encourage everyone to look that up and see where you want to come in and put your comment. Because again, This is a community plan for the community, and democracy doesn't work without your participation, not just at the ballot box, but also at these community meetings. You have to be there. And that's part of what my approach is. I constantly go out, I'm talking to people, I'm inviting them to these meetings. I'm a lot like Courtney. I'll let anyone talk to me regardless of their feelings because I don't know everything. And I'm not right 100% of the time. And I learn every time I talk to someone new. And it has been an amazing experience running for office for the last several years because of all I've learned that I didn't know. And you don't know it until you get taught it. And you don't learn unless you interact with the people all throughout this community. And so I'm gonna keep doing that. I'm gonna keep sitting down and talking with all of you. And yeah, it's a lot of time. It's tiring, but so what? I've got the time. I've got the energy. I live with extreme insomnia, so I only sleep 2 to 4 hours a day. So I'm there for you people. I'm there to listen to you. And yeah, there's been people who have outright told me to my face, I can't stand everything you stand for. Here's how I feel about it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that because I needed to hear it. Keeps me humble. Reminds me I'm one, hopefully, of 5 commissioners that will stand and represent the whole of this community. And I will continue to support these plans that are being developed right now, that are strategic plans, that have long-term goals, that absolutely interlink unhoused issues with affordable housing, with economic development, with community security and safety. All of these things are linked together in these plans, ladies and gentlemen. This is how you know who's actually studying and who isn't. Thank you.
The benefit of going last is you can say ditto to a lot of people's, or say, yes, yes, I agree, yes, yes, yes. Dustin, I don't have insomnia. I am a woman of a certain age, and if I don't get at least 7 hours of sleep, yeah, you might as well just call it a day. But no, in all sincerity, I think the biggest challenge that Lawrence faces in general, and not just for the next 4 years, starts with understanding the relationship between statutes, regulations, and policy. And when you understand that relationship, not from a bureaucratic standpoint, but understanding the roles that a statute plays. What does it mean? What is a statute? What is, as setting an authority, a regulation? I'm talking about the process and what guides us in that authority, and policy being the best practice of it, and how that reflects policy development, policy work, and us addressing issues in our community. That's something that we need to focus on. Understanding that relationship, that power and that authority that a local government, a commission has in home rule, and how to navigate that space with our legislature. Because a lot of the issues that we are dealing with across the state, across the country, housing, access to housing, homelessness, economic development, social injustices, are rooted in the relationships of how we develop policies in the different entities of government. So we've heard everyone talk about the different pieces, understanding the value of economic development, different aspects of incentives, what we're doing to bring affordable housing online, some of the things that we're working on. And I'll talk about that in the second question. But as a commissioner, our role is not only to be a pathway of the voice to the community, but we are policy developers, and we are we're that civic voice, that relation. We help bridge the relationship of city government to the people. And so it's not an expectation for you to talk to constituents. It's your freaking job as an elected officer. So as an elected official, I don't say, oh, if you talk to me, I'm gonna talk to you. I need to talk to you, because it's a relation. I'm not a subject matter expert, I'm a content. You elect commissioners to be in a position because of their ability to look at the system, to understand the system, and to hear the voices of the people, and to reach out and challenge staff in order to understand and how to navigate the opportunities on a local level, and a state level, and a federal level to get the work done. Because guess what? It can't just happen with us. It's relational. So the biggest challenge we face, other than the ones that have been stated on this dais, is understanding what resources are available to us and how to navigate those resources to bring success in Lawrence.
Please join me in thanking our candidates. I learned stuff in all that, by the way, and I try to follow the housing really closely. So, our next question is a little more fun, but what issue in Lawrence are you most excited about to work on? And please tell us about your approach to leadership in that area. And Mike, since you were on the board before, will you mind?
I'm glad I prepared. Thank you. Oh, thank you again. Hold on to time myself, because clearly I talk too much. So I think there's not one thing that I would envision, because I think it would be presumptuous of me to know what's been going on exactly and all the issues that are out there specifically, but I know what I care most about as far as what I'd like to work on. And I'm excited to work on things like infrastructure. I believe that the conditions of the city's roads have degraded in the last 5 to 6 years. The pavement condition index shows it. There's many more red roads in our community than there used to be. We put a huge emphasis on that in the past, and I hope that we reevaluate and start investing more into the aging infrastructure in our community, both in our aging neighborhoods and on our newer neighborhoods, say 20 or 30-year-olds that are in need of support. Secondarily, I would like to work on the change in the form of government. When I was last on the City Commission, I really felt strongly that Lawrence was growing beyond its existing current body, and that I felt like the representation of the community all around could be improved. And so we were seen with the same people running all the time and for the same reasons, and I believe that representative government starts in your neighborhoods, and I feel like a geographic form of government is best serving the geographic diversity of our community. And lastly, I really want to spend as much time and energy as I can immediately if I'm elected, and if I'm allowed to by other commissioners, to be a part of a short-term strategy to solve some of the unsafe conditions and behavioral issues that we have in our community right now, both from people living on the margins in rental community, and also those people who are living in both sanctioned and unsanctioned camps in our community. I've been studying this issue for almost 4 years now. I've been personally and professionally impacted by it, and I really feel like it's important that we as a community agree on how we solve this problem, but most importantly, we take action immediately, because there are people's lives at stake right now. There are temperatures in over 100 degrees right now, and we as a community need to focus clearly on how we're going to solve the immediate needs of our homeless and not necessarily the long-term housing needs of our community. Thanks.
I really don't see too much of anything I can get excited about right now in Lawrence. What I would like to see, as I said before, is mainly the infrastructure. And like, again, I'm talking about all of Lawrence. I look at driving down 23rd Street, you have several empty buildings that have been there for years, dilapidated, falling apart, yet there are businesses that are operating in these buildings. Incentives, like I said, like it was mentioned, there's no way I would give anybody any kind of incentive to come in here and do anything else in Lawrence until we're able to, as Lawrence, be able to get together, put our heads together, and find out exactly what we can do with what we already have. That's the main thing I think that we need to do. Like I said, you look at our streets are bad. You look at North Lawrence, especially under the overpass, that area is bad. That's been bad for years. But being able to take care of ourselves is the main thing that I see before we can do anything else for anybody. You know, we have to be able to come together as one. We all have our differences, but at some point, if you want Lawrence to be a viable city, including East and North Lawrence, we have to figure out how to get that done. Whatever it is, that's what has to be done, I feel, and that's one thing that I would be working on I have a vision for North Lawrence and East Lawrence. And I'd like to be able to some way get that vision implemented so everybody, wherever you live, has access to stores and whatever else that they need. Thank you.
There you go. There are a couple interesting things. One thing I'm really excited about is going to be coming up here in August. I hope everyone finds a way to get involved. There should be some public opportunities of involvement, and that is to do with the removal of what's commonly called the Big Red Rock in Juge Wahobé. It will be being removed to the Kaw Nation's land in another city, and that will be very exciting. Of all the things that I could be excited about or proud of in the last 4 years, I would put that at the top of being in the room when the Kaw Nation asked for that return, when that had been avoided for many, many years, and we were able to say, yeah, that's easy to do. Let's address this ill. I'm really proud of that. So I hope you all come out for that. Another thing I want to kind of mention, since other people have kind of talked about things that are obvious, there's some things that are interesting and important that you don't think about, like staff satisfaction or the culture within the staff of this city. You may have only 1 or 2 interactions with staff members, depending on what your issue is, but we still have to attract and maintain the best and brightest that we can on the job market to deliver us all of the services that we demand, and we demand a lot. And it's something that you all don't see, but I can tell you from years of, frankly, not great leadership and management, that we have a real problem in that area, and we've been working on it for years, and I am very glad to be part of that. This can be anything from fixing pay compression issues to just general changing of morale. People no longer care about this top-down kind of leadership. They want job satisfaction that involves their expertise and acknowledges their existence as a human in the workplace. I think that's really important for Lawrence. I'm also interested in the form of government, and since I've got a few more seconds here, I just want to throw some thoughts out, because everyone should take the next few months talking about it, or year or so talking about it before it gets on the ballot. We need to ask ourselves what we think leadership is and whether we think top-down leadership is what works. What we have now is interesting, and certainly, in my view, more egalitarian than some other forms of government. And you should definitely do some research and think about whether districts will actually do what you think districts do. You can talk to people from cities that have districts, and they will not necessarily describe a happy experience of representation. So definitely get out there and have conversations with your neighbor and do some research about how you think the form of government change will affect you.
What are you most excited to work on?
You hear everybody else's answers and you're like, yeah, I want that. But for me, and yeah, I'm about to shoot myself in the foot here, it is the receptiveness of our city commission. Our current commission is made up of individuals who are far more receptive and open and engaged with the public than have happened in years and years prior across the entire community. That's the one thing I keep hearing as I go out and I talk with community members. I see Commissioner Finkeldye, I see Commissioner Larson, I see Commissioner Sellers, I see Commissioner Shipley, I see Commissioner Littlejohn. I know them, I see them in the community, they come to all of our meetings. This is what leadership is. It's not just sitting on the days on Tuesday evening issuing proclamations and taking votes. It's being out in the community and listening and guiding and being able to connect people to resources in other communities that can further broaden and support all of our community members. This is something I'm already doing. This is something I'm going to keep doing should I get elected, and even if I don't. This is what leadership is. It's just not, again, top down. I, again, agree with Courtney. I agree with what's been said about our city government. that we need to really have some hard conversations with one another about what we want. I know where I stand, and that even has morphed over the years through conversations with my fellow community members, which are you. And I would hope we continue this. I would love to continue that work. I see the benefits that I see other community members when I connect them to resources, and then we get to see each other a couple of years down the road. Their life is better. Hey, you didn't do it, you just gave me the information to start me on the path. And that's how we keep helping each other. That's how we keep making this city more connected. And it's gonna take a lot of work, not only from the community that gets elected, it also comes from the entire community. All of you, even those who are not registered voters, youth, I mean, think about what happened back on June 20th, I believe it was, where we had 3 hours of public comment from individuals in this community who said, we do not feel safe, we do not feel heard. Our city commissioners sat there, listened, and then dealt with the CIP until midnight that night. And I've done that. I sat there with them, I'm gonna keep doing that with them, and I want to encourage everyone to keep participating, keep being out there, and if you don't know how, I will help you. I will show you how to do it, I'm gonna teach you, I'm glad to do it. I love it. It's fun connecting this community and connecting you with the commissioners to help everyone see they're just people like the rest of us. They're not gods. Thank you.
I'm not a god, I'm a little bit of a diva, so. Not godlike, I'm not gonna do that, but definitely have my diva moments. No. What I'm excited about is movement and innovation. Movement and innovation. When I came here as a student in 1999, the city of Lawrence was talking about housing and homelessness then as it was today. The only difference is that there's been movement and innovation in how we talk about it, what we're talking about, and more solution-based in how to address and mitigate some of the ills around access to housing, housing affordability, and addressing the social determinants that impact one's ability who is experiencing homelessness. So movement and innovation is what I'm excited about in our community. We're doing an awkward dance. Lawrence is an awkward, I say awkward in a cool way, but we're doing a little bit of an awkward dance right now because we're learning. And it goes back to that comment I made about understanding the relationship between local government, its capacity, state government, its capacity, and the federal government. And so we're now seeing on a state level, we're pushing legislators, and we need to continue to push because they're pushing back on us with a lot of home rule stuff, and I'm not real keen on that. But we need to make our state level of government accountable to the work that we're wanting to do around housing. As someone who got their master's degree in public administration with an emphasis on housing policy efficacy, we're trying to get there. We still have a long ways to go, but we're getting there. We're addressing we have a steering committee that Commissioner Finkeldye is on that's looking at our zoning codes. Huge. We've historically, across the country, divested in housing because it wasn't focused on the individual and ensuring individual accessibilities. We're doing that in policy by looking at in regulation, by looking at our zoning. We're doing it on the state level with policy, with statutes. When we're looking at our rural housing incentive districts, that was a bill that was amended to expand to include communities like Lawrence. So now we can lean on, as I did the mayor, to have a relationship with the county to start mapping out those rural housing incentive districts so we can start moving to add moderate income housing. 2 years ago-ish, if we count by legislative sessions, we had the state tax credit come on board. That is a state level tax credit that mimics the low income housing tax credit, or LIHTC, that is done through housing. So now you have that public-private partnership. So I'm excited about, we have a legislature that has a $3 billion surplus and a $1 billion rainy day fund. We have the money to get work done. We just need to keep moving and being innovative in how we engage and talk about getting this work accomplished.
Well, one of the things I'm most excited about is the development code and the development code process, and we've talked a lot about that. So want to go a little different direction real quick and tell you, a lot of things in COVID slowed down, but I was sitting here, I keep writing down all the things that you're going to see in the next 4 years, really in the next 2 years: industrial, housing, retail, utilities. And I'm going to go quickly and name some of these off. We'll have Panasonic open. We have KUIP just finished building 3. Building 4 and 5 will come out of the ground, along with a Hilltop Early Education Center to support that and the entire Kansas Crossing building. Within 2 months, we'll have a new spec building being built by Van Trust, and we'll have 2 lots left in Venture Park. One will probably be under contract by the end of the year as well. We have housing projects. I already talked about the 850 affordable housing units. That's about 300 units at 15th and the South Lawrence Traffic Way. That's about 300 units at the Castle Cove. That's about 80 units at Holcomb, and that's scattered sites around the community. We also have approved the annexation south of the SLT, north on Folks Road, north of Rock Chalk Park, and we have 2 residential developments going along Wakarusa. Talk about utility projects. Last couple of years, we've talked about the index we've had on streets. We now have indexes on our sewer systems, our sanitary water systems, and our water lines, something we'd never have done before. Now that we have done that investigation, we are now executing, and there's a lot of CIP projects coming on to execute to help with flooding, water, wastewater, and so forth. Think about downtown. Just saw the announcement that we're going to have the Allen Press and that end of town working. If you didn't know, the World Company building has sold. That'll be under construction by the end of the year with offices and other things. We have the Turn Hall building that's about 70% done. Shum's lot downtown, kind of next to the dentist, it's been sold and about to be redeveloped. We'll have major projects going down in downtown. Of course, you got retail. One of my campaign slogans is Brahms and Whataburger. We're bringing both of those to town. No, you got the KU Crossing. We got, probably south of the SOT, a pickle and chicken. We got a lot of things that are going to be built in the next 2 or 3 years, and a lot of excitement going on. So I look forward to being part of that and seeing a lot of this work we've done come to fruition. I have 20 seconds left. It is kind of wonky, but if you like the development code, please come out the next couple weeks and talk about Module 1. We have 3 modules to go. This will be about an 18-month process. But when, 20, 30 years from now, when I look back, there's no question that the development code will be the most important thing I did.
Hi, I'm Chris Flowers again. What I'm most excited about is I want to decriminalize magic mushrooms. I'm very passionate about this issue, and how my leadership in that area is that I'm a member of the Lawrence Psychedelic Society, and when I first went, I thought, oh, this is my type of meeting, And then I got there, and it's actually a lot of people talking about the medical use and some spiritual, but I feel like I'm the one that's, just doing it for fun and recreational. But, I stayed, and I have learned a lot. And I invite anyone who is curious about psychedelics to come to a Lawrence Psychedelic Society meeting. And the thing is, people are actually using this to help their mental health issues. And people, you don't even have to trip. There's this thing, it's called microdosing, where you just take a tiny bit of mushrooms like every day. But you don't trip, you don't get the effects of drugs, but you get the mental health benefits, and it's helping a lot of people, especially veterans with PTSD, and not just magic mushrooms, but other psychedelics. So that's really an issue I'm passionate about, and also I want to challenge everyone here to think about body autonomy. We hear that and we think abortion, because it totally is. A person should have the right to abortion, but body autonomy is not just what you take out of a body, it's what you put in. And if people are putting in stuff that grows naturally into their body, and they're having positive health benefits from that, shouldn't the government allow them to do that? I'm totally against the government, telling people that, hey, that's illegal, you can't do that. So that's really why I want to decriminalize magic mushrooms. Let's see if I have any other notes I want to put down. No, and also, because I'm experienced with it, I know what, like last time when we decriminalized marijuana, we didn't do nothing about paraphernalia. So I think by actually using mushrooms and, having fun with them, it'll give me a leg up when it comes to like how we decriminalize it. Thank you.
I think the thing that I'm most excited about is what Amber touched on a little earlier about relationships. So that to me is a big part of this. The relationships that Lawrence, and improving those relationships, the relationships that Lawrence has with the transgendered community. And so it really kind of broke my heart to see people say that Lawrence isn't a safe place. And when people were talking about SB 150 and that they were thinking about moving out of Lawrence, and I want Lawrence to be a safe place, and not just in word but in action. I want us to really put our money where our mouth is and really say this is a safe place for all to come. I think Lawrence is very special that way. I know that I came to Lawrence when I was in a hard time and found acceptance and love here. And I want everybody to feel that same love and feel that same acceptance. I want us to also improve our relationships with the homeless community. Affordable housing is a big deal, part of that, but it's more than that. We need to have more of a compassionate, holistic approach to the homeless problem in this town. We need to be looking at how we're helping them with rehab. How are we helping the homeless get counseling? How are we helping them get jobs? I don't want to just approach something from one side. I know that this is all the issues that we'll be facing, whether it's infrastructure or it's housing or it's the homelessness or it's just making Lawrence a safe space. These are all complicated issues, and it's going to take hard work. And I want to jump in feet first and do the hard work. Let's have hard conversations. I know that we're not always going to agree with each other, but that's again part of being a community. And I love all of Lawrence. How do we improve relations between North Lawrence and East Lawrence and West Lawrence, and make Lawrence in general a better place for everybody to live in and to see business thrive, to see people thrive, and really just make this a city that everybody is proud to be a part of and proud to live in.
That was great. So to finish up, we have one last question because we'd like you to make a closing statement. And I have really enjoyed hearing all of you talk today, and I learned a lot. And y'all know that I try to follow the meetings and what's going on, but it's impossible to keep up sometimes. And so it's all of our committees and advisory boards, in addition to our commissioners, it's all part of our growing city of Lawrence. So we'll start here with Dustin. Remind us again, help us remember why we should vote for you.
This isn't my first rodeo, and it's not my last. And I'm going to continue to stay active in this community. I'm going to continue to encourage all of you, continue to reach out to you and talk to you different organizations you're a part of, and be a member of the different organizations that exist throughout this community. Melinda's right. There's a lot of committees. There's a lot of meetings to watch. I give you that time now as an unelected official. I watch and attend the city commission meetings. I even watch the county commission meetings and their deliberations. I watch the school district meetings and what goes on there so that I understand all the forces that are at play within our community. This is the best way, in my opinion, for me to be a city commissioner for you, should you choose to elect me. And Beyond that, I'm still gonna stay active because I love this work. This, to me, is what I love to do and what I love to watch. And I'm gonna stay inside of it all. Thank you.
Housing, health, transportation, employment, knowledge, skills, attitude, and behavior. These are all considered modifiable determinants. Some of you all know them as social determinants of health. Things that are modified, things that are non-modifiable: gender, age, and ethnicity. When you think about that, many of the things that we have to address in our community as citizens, as elected officials, are modifiable. They're modifiable in practice, they're modifiable in policy, they're modifiable in program, pedagogy, and within us. So what are the things that we need to accomplish in our community is based on understanding the power that we have collectively together to make things happen, to create a community where everyone feels safe and that they can thrive. That's where we start. That's what we need to do in order to be successful and to continue to be successful.
I think as I said when I started, I think we have a lot of work to do, and I'd like to be able to continue that work. You know, we've spent a lot of time the last 4 years working on a strategic plan, which we're now in the process of implementing. As I mentioned just a minute ago, working on our utility plans. We're in the process of implementing it. Working on a houselessness plan, which we're in the process of implementing. Working on affordable housing, which we're in the process of implementing. We're in the middle of working on the development code. There's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of improvement to be made, and I want to be part of finishing the job on those, and I hope to get the chance to do that for the next 4 years.
Hi, I'm Chris Flowers. I'm gonna waste my closing statement with a public service announcement. When it comes to pets, I recently read an article that a lot of people, when it comes to putting them down, they don't go in the room with them. And I'm just here to encourage everyone, when you have your pets put down, to please go in the room with them. You are the center of your pet's world. And when they're getting put down, they know it. And they often look for their last moments of life can be looking for their owner. And so you may not realize what's happening, you know, because you do, it's going to be very emotional for you to see them be put down. But just think what they're going through. And so I just want to urge everyone to please go in when your pet's being put down and be with them. Thank you.
I want to fight for this city. I want to have hard conversations. I want to see us grow. I'm excited. There's incredible people in this town, and I just want to be a part of that. I want to be able to serve the incredible people in this town. I'm honored that I get to be with some incredible people at this table, and look forward to doing my best to help and to serve.
Chris, you're right about the pets. It's true. I just want to say that I would hope to be able to serve the community again for a variety of reasons, but I bring a lot of skills that I think would be useful to whoever serves on the commission and to the community itself. Specifically, I think we need energy and action. As Brad pointed out, we've got these plans in place, and now we need the strength and the leadership and the wherewithal to implement them. Because when you put plans in place, the community still has chances to stand against or be unhappy with the results. And so it's our job to convince and communicate and advocate for things that are important to the citizens of Lawrence. And for me, that's what this service is all about. A lot of people talked about talking and not talking, but my door is open. My door is open, as always has been, and I'm willing and able to talk to anybody and want to get your input for the future of Lawrence, and I'd like to be a part of it. Thank you.
My focus is all of Lawrence, the people of Lawrence, and that's my focus. And being able to bring everybody together in whatever community you live in, so everybody can at least be happy and have what they want and don't have to struggle. That's what I'm looking at. So I'm always focused on people and what happens to them and what they need. Buildings and stuff is fine, but I think we got enough empty buildings around in Lawrence that we probably could utilize some of those empty buildings that we always have for office space as well. So that's the way I feel, and like I said, I would love to be able to help Lawrence grow and come together as one unit, not just one portion. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you. I want to thank Commissioner Finkeldye, actually, in the last question, for making the list of accomplishments that this commission's had over the last 4 years. I've gotten very good at taking 3 hours of criticism and forgetting to actually acknowledge the good things that we've managed to do, which are clearly numerous. I have worked for you for 4 years. I've stopped unnecessary spending on unnecessary projects. We have a lot of overbuilt roads that don't accommodate bikes or pedestrians. We need to change the face of this town with our infrastructure, the way we spend from now on, not falling into old patterns of development that doesn't benefit business or residential and ultimately bankrupts the city. I will continue to strengthen community relationships, and I will keep reminding other commissioners that our spending today is not just for us and special interests, but for coming generations.
Thank you again for all of you for coming today and really speaking your mind and telling us from your heart what you are excited to work on. I know I learned a lot today. Please go vote between now and 7 p.m. on August 1st. There's a lot of things that happen between now and August 1st. A lot of people move, travel. We'll have the county fair as well, right? So again, please vote by August 1st. And we will not have Saturday seminar in August. The Democrats will be at their convention in Wichita at Demo Fest, so please join us there in Wichita. And then the following weekend, the last Saturday, we'll see y'all at the pie auction. Thank you.